Looks like it is indeed. Alright, just give it a minute. Need to have Pyro set up his lobby. And stream. Alright, welcome guys. So this is Lobby B for eSports. We're at round 3 at Blue Moon Infield A, which is an incredible track in my opinion. Quite a short lap. One incredibly long straight, which encompasses about half of the oval of this track. Just give me a second to see what's going on with Pyro's stream, because I need to tag the server, and then we can get going. Actually, let's have a quick look through the teams for tonight in this lobby, because we've got some new drivers, some brand new drivers as well, and some new drivers for the season. There it is. So V2 are currently at the bottom of the standings. Got a Rotikos racing again. He couldn't get into Lobby A in round 1 and sat round 2 out. He is in the Renault. And then we have 2 Dodgers. We've got Kanata making his first race of the season, raced a few times for V2 last season in the Dodge. And we've also got Mortal, who is the team captain in the Dodge as well. You see Kanata sliding through one of the turns there. So the Dodge is really good on this track actually, so potential, especially for Mortal, to get into Lobby A out of that team. It scored 0 points last week because Autoration didn't finish in the points in Lobby B, and they had 2 disconnects. They left the race in Lobby A, so they didn't get the points for that either. Then we've got Project Racing United. We've got Kaioken for his 3rd race in a row. We've also got Long Chicken for his 2nd in a row, and Turbo Tony, who only just missed out on Lobby A in qualifying a couple of weeks ago in Brands Hatch. He is back, and we'll be hoping to improve on his previous race at Brands, because it kind of fell apart a little bit during the race. Then we've got Kavar, right? So they got their first ever win last week in Lotari here, just coming into the pits. He won at Dragon Trail Seaside, just ahead of Hollywood, who gave up a P2 right at the end, hitting the death chicane. So he came in 3rd, and Fluffy Boat has been in Lobby A both times this season. Hollywood only once, and Lotari hasn't been in Lobby A at all. I think all 3 have a really good shot at getting in Lobby A after watching practice for the last half hour. Then we have Pegasus. So we've got Parky Barky making his debut. He's in the M6, so we've got no idea what his pace is going to look like. Currently 6/10 off of Fluffy Bud's best time. We've got Asseldor. He's making his debut for Pegasus in the Corvette. I'm expecting the Corvette to be pretty strong around here as well. So he was with Project Platypus last season, raced 3 or 4 times, and was always strong in qualifying, never failed to get into Lobby A, so that should be a minimum expectation for him. And who is the last one? It is Chris, making his 3rd appearance of the season, looking to still get into Lobby A for the first time this season. He was quite good at doing that last season, so yeah, he's probably might just still be learning the BMW. So that's the 8 that are, not 8, 12 that are competing in Lobby B. Just need to, I'm just going to give Pyro a bit of a message, see what's going on. And then just a quick run through of who's competing in Lobby A in qualifying, because you might see them in the race. So for Aero GT, we've got Big Beaver back, expecting strong things for him. Jack is making his second appearance for Aero, the first time he did get into Lobby A, just by the skin of his teeth. And we got Prime Call, who finished 5th in Lobby B last week, making another appearance. Then for Arix, we've got Ben making his first appearance of the season, Javi and Slim, all of them tier 1 drivers, so expecting all 3 to be in Lobby A. For Falcon, we've got Ahmed, Beetlejuice and Dino. They are all expected for Lobby A for sure as well. And for Project Platypus, we've got BX and Perry again, and Kellen is making his first appearance. All 3 of them, again, it's going to be difficult to see any of them falling out of Lobby A. So these guys in Lobby B today have tough job ahead of them. The top 2 are guaranteed to be racing in Lobby A, and then it is the fastest out of the rest of them. Pyro's just setting everything up now, so we're just going to wait for that stream to go up before we actually get started in our qualifying. It would be good to kind of finish the qualifyings at the same time, so that we're not waiting around for ages at the end of the qualifying session. It'll be interesting to see as well in qualifying if we see any team games, because you can get a lot of time on that slipstream on the oval section of this track. So if you time it perfectly, you could get a good 3 or 4 tenths of a second in one straight. Tricky one though. Oh, another more sliding from Kanata. You love to see it. Maybe that's an indication of how difficult the dodge is to handle as a car. Here we go, Pyro's Lobby is up as well. Oh, shit. That's not right. There we go. So, people giving Pyro some jip about his settings. Okay. Let's just tell them that we'll be starting soon, and whilst we do that, I'll just do a quick run through of what the situation is in the standings. So we've got P4 Aero GT, P5 Pegasus, and P6 is Cav R. They're all separated by 22 points, which really isn't a lot. It's just basically a single solid result in Lobby A would turn the tide in any of those teams' favour. Last week, Aero GT had 2 drivers in Lobby B after getting all 3 and having a really strong first week, so they really need to do better this week in qualifying, which we'll see at the end of Pyro's qualifying session. Then Pegasus have only had 1 driver in Lobby A in both of the first 2 races, so they need to improve on that really to feel a bit more comfortable in their how many points they're bringing. Asseldor is really strong, always qualifying in Lobby A last season, so yeah, well, we'll have to see. I think maybe he chose the Corvette specifically for tracks like this. V2 have to start finishing races. That's their task, but they've got 3 different drivers this week compared to last week, so completely different outcome could easily be achieved. And Project Racing United still haven't had a driver in Lobby A, so any of them qualifying into Lobby A, that should be their goal. Okay, and with that, I think we can get started. Everyone's had plenty of time since I sent the message. Chris is racing in his VR. Awesome. That's what I do as well. Okay, so qualifying's underway. Let's see who is going to end up being the first out of the pits. I don't think it's going to be Fluffy. Come on. It looks like it's Kyokan actually. Okay. Project Racing United driver in the Renault, which I think, ooh, and he clips the wall, doesn't give himself any damage. Comes out just ahead of Kanata. If Kanata times it, like I said, he could get a beautiful slipstream. What has happened with... Oh, there we are. Okay, it's fixed itself. So yeah, this is Renault in front of a Dodge at the moment. Dodge Viper incredibly quick in a straight line, which is the complete opposite to the Renault. The Renault is going to be a lot quicker in the infield section. I'm expecting the cutoff to be 1 minute 6.5. That's my prediction. I saw Fluffy Butt and Hollywood both get under that, but I didn't see anyone else do that in practice. But they might have been saving all of their pace for this qualifying session. So Kyokan is going to be the first one to kick off a lap. Let's ride on board with him and see how he navigates some of these first corners. So brakes a little bit early for that corner and slides his car a little bit into the entry. Does hit the apex nicely, but hits the wall on the outside as well. That's going to impact his lap massively there, with probably half a second getting knocked off, and 18.8 to begin his time with. Now, really important, one of the most important corners on the track is this little hairpin right here, down into first gear. You need to get on the brake, on the throttle quickly, but it's really difficult because the grass approaches. And then this is a wide entry and a tight exit to the corner. He misses the apex there, and now this is without a doubt the most important corner on the track. He goes down into third gear, gets on the throttle fairly quickly, and now it's just a drag race down to the start-finish line to finish his lap. So Kyokan is going to be in a 7 flat. That's a pretty decent start considering he hit the wall. Kanata is almost, well, 8 tenths down on him. Fluffy Butt goes 2 tenths quicker, a 6.8. And Lotari even quicker than him with a 6.7. Chris with a 7.3, not too quick there. And Hollywood goes quicker than everyone with a 6.3. Looks like he just got past Long Chicken as well on his run down into turn 1. Long Chicken down in 8th. Barky in just popped up into the top 8 as well. Asseldor, after his first lap, after I've been hyping him up, he's down in 5th with a 7-minute flat. This is the Corvette. Let's ride on board with him. He's slightly up, half a tenth on his previous first sector. Little bit wide there, but he probably got away with that. Coming up to some traffic in front of him as well. Gets the car slowed down nicely, up into second very early on. The Corvette does enjoy operating in the low revs. Wide entry, like I was saying. He's a bit better on hitting that apex there, so he is up by a tenth and a half now. So he's probably going to take Kyokan. He really cuts that final corner, which is what you have to do without giving yourself a penalty. Latari and Fluffy Butt both improved massively. They're in the low 6s. Chris with a high 6 there as well, up into 4th. So it's a Cavar 1-2-3 at the moment. Astor jumps up into 4th for Pegasus to head his teammate by 2 tenths of a second, but he's still almost half a second down on what Fluffy Butt's managed. Let's ride on board with Fluffy Butt. He's actually going pretty slow. It looks like Hollywood is going to carry on trying to improve on his time, but he slid through that first corner. He's almost a tenth down on his best time at the moment. Looks like he's still pushing. Eroticos with a 6.7. Now let's see, is Hollywood going to be able to improve? All three of the Cavar boys incredibly close together on lap time. About a tenth and a half separating all three of them. And Hollywood still pretty much identical best second sectors. A little bit wide on the exit, you could hear his tyres screeching a lot. And he's coming into the pits anyway, so he's backed out of that one. Asador's also coming in. Let's see what Eroticos is going to do. I have a feeling everyone else is going to be diving into the pits. Eroticos is improving on his time though, so he could be in for a top 4 or 3 finish here. Really solid lap from Eroticos compared to some of the practice laps that I saw. I hope he's not coming into the pits. No, he's just keeping it tight for to minimise the distance that he's covering on this lap. And it's a 6.4. That might be pretty solid, you know, with his chances of getting into Lobby A for the very first time. Let's see what Chris is up to. Chris is in P6 at the moment. We've got 3 Cavar boys still in the top 3, then the V2 driver in 4th, and then 2 Pegasus drivers in 5th and 6th. Chris is on course to improve. Looked like a pretty tidy final corner as well. And this is going to be faster, but it doesn't improve his position. So he's got a bit more of a cushion on Keokun, who's coming for new tyres. Let's have a look and see what Mortal's up to. Looked a little bit dodgy there, not gonna lie. He's currently almost a second down on what Fluffy Butt's managed. Mortal has won around here in the Dodge Viper as well, in Monday League in Tier 2 some time ago. So he's going to try and recreate that magic. He needs to find a lot more time than he's got at the moment. He's got maybe a couple more laps to do it after this one. Long Chicken improves to 11th with a 7.7. And Mortal doesn't improve that time. Kanata down in last place in the other Dodge. Let's see how he does on this lap. He's got to find a lot of time here. He's 1.6 off of Fluffy Butt at the moment. Fluffy Butt with a 6.2 compared to a 7.9. So this is where the Viper starts to really kick in, and it's a very slow, it's an out lap anyway. Yeah. So let's see what he can do on the following lap. Fluffy Butt, meanwhile, coming around the final bend. Is he going to be able to improve on his 6.2? He's going to have another 2 laps to try and do it anyway. His tyres are looking pretty fresh. 6.1 now. So he extends his lead over Hollywood by 0.2 of a second. Let's join Hollywood. He's just started his lap. So we'll see what everyone else does. Chicken is improved to a 7.6, so he's started to get there. Needs to be in the 6s really to be competitive. Mortal improved to a 7.2. And yeah, there's a bit of a black spot on the screen when cars go around a certain corner. It just blacks out for some reason. Looks pretty tidy just until then, and that might be the end of Hollywood's qualifying. He's going to be in a little bit of trouble there, and it looks like Fluffy Butt's followed him into the wall. Absolute scenes at the moment between the Cavar boys, just pushing a little bit too hard, and just as they do that, Latari, the other Cavar boy, is up into P2, less than a 10th off of Hollywood's time, in the 6.1s. Really solid qualifying there. We might be seeing Latari in Lobby A for the first time, because I don't think Hollywood's going to be beating that after his spin there. He might get one more lap in, but his tyres might be a little bit overcooked. Let's see what Roticos can do. Long Chicken improves every single lap, but he's still not in the top 8. Mortal improves as well. Eroticos doesn't improve this time. He stays 4th place. Asador, let's see what Asador can do. He, like I said, always qualifies in Lobby A, but at the moment, this is looking a little bit precarious. He's still in the high 6s. And he is on course to beat his time. Every 10th of a second is going to count here for Lord Asador. He might even get one final lap in, actually. So he might have timed this to perfection here. Is it an improvement? It's not. He's half a second down, so he's got one more opportunity. Chris is going to be able to get another lap in. Is he going to improve? Again, he's 6/10 down. Let's see. Mortal is coming round the bend again. He's been just shuffled down to 10th because Long Chicken's up into P9 now. And the checkered flag has started to come out. Eroticos is going to be the last to cross the line, as is Hollywood. It doesn't look like either of them improved on the time. Neither did Parky Varky, so he's down in 8th place. Let's see who is next to come to the finish line. Here we go. Kaioken has damage, so he's not going to be setting a good lap. Martin Kanata is the next one, with Latari right behind him. Latari trying to get the quickest in the lobby. He's going to get a bit of a slipstream from Kanata. Is this going to be an improvement off of the back of the grid for Kanata? It's not. It's a 9.8. Latari doesn't improve either. Lord Asador on his last attempt. He does improve. It's 0.011 improvement though. That he's definitely on the bubble. I think Eroticos, the gap between Eroticos and Asador might be the difference here. We've only got a couple more drivers to go, and neither of them look like they improved on their lap time either. So that looks like it's it for qualifying. There we go. So let's go at the results, and I am just going to type these in quickly. Really, really good qualifying for Kavar, locking out the top three, the three M6s. So we got a 6.115 for Fluffy Butt, Hollywood 6.332, and Latari showing more strong form again, a 6.196. Then we got Eroticos for V2, V2's star driver so far today, a 0.441, a big, well, yeah, big gap from pole. That might be on the bubble. Then we got Asador for Pegasus. Their best driver is a 6.703, just ahead of Chris. 6.816. Then we got Kaioken as the best Racing United member, 899. Parky Varky, the third Pegasus driver. So all three in the top 8 in this session. He's almost definitely Lobby B for the main race. Then we got Long Chicken in the top 10, pretty decent improvement from last week. Mortal in 10th place, unfortunate. Then we got Kanata in last, 7.922, and Turbo Tony 7.508. So I just have to wait now for a few minutes. They're only 11 minutes in lobby, in Pyro's lobby actually. Looks like the fastest time there's only a 5.8, so that's only 0.3 quicker than Fluffy Butt. So Fluffy Butt will be really high actually, and Latari in the qualifying order, so they can go ahead and join Lobby A. They're definitely through. I think Hollywood is almost definitely through, and Eroticos is on the bubble, and Asador I think might not make it through, and I think Chris Down are definitely Lobby B. Just based on the times there. So, let me just end the race. And go into the settings. Oh, actually, let's save this replay. Pretty good qualifying session from a lot of drivers there. Let's edit this to just the race. We've still got 61 laps. We could turn off the custom weather. Variable speed rate is 1. It is a grid start with a false start check, and it is set by host, and everything else should be exactly the same. So there we go. Another couple of minutes left in Lobby A. Looks like everyone's separated by less than a second. It is, yeah, actually it's all finished now. They're just waiting for all the drivers to sort themselves out on their final laps. I think someone's in the pits making it go the maximum time. Okay, here we go. So Javi, 5.868, very fast. And then we've got Slim, it's an RX 1-2, 5.935. And then Perry in third, amazing qualifying from Perry, 6.023. Kellen, 6.07. BX, wow, 6.07. Dino is the highest Falcon driver, 6.106. Just ahead of Ahmed, 6.374. Big Beaver's the highest Aero driver, 6.421. A bit disappointing qualifying there for Beetlejuice. 6.583. That's very similar to Asseldor's. Jack, 6.81. Wow, okay. Prime Call, 6.831. And Ben, 6.858. Wow, okay. Very interesting results there. I think quite a few people are going to move up from Lobby B to Lobby A for the race. Asseldor is just getting into Lobby A. He is the P14 driver. So congrats to Lord Asseldor. And pole position is going to actually go to Jack. Got two Aero boys in Lobby B. Jack lining up next to Chris for Pegasus and Prime Call in Lobby B. I'm just going to fill this in and send it out. All three Caval boys in Lobby A, 7th, 8th, and 9th. That's an amazing result for Caval. Huge improvement. They're going to absolutely eat up the points today. Also, Eroticos in Lobby A as well for the very first time. So congrats to Eroticos, my teammate on Mondays. Let me just send this very quickly. Then we're going to do the shuffle. I'll set the grid and we can get going. Oh man, I need to put on slow mode on the chat as well. So everyone's on their way out. We're going to get some more drivers coming in as well. It looked like BX and Kellen set identical times as well. All three Project Platypus guys looking very strong heading into this, but having Slim at the front is exactly what they needed. Got let's just go through our grid. So P10 is going to be Kanata. P9 will be Turbo Tony. Then we've got Mortal in P8. Long Chicken is in 7th. Parky Varky in 6th. Kaioken in 5th. Ben for Arix in 4th. So that's going to be a big battle for Ben to win this race. But to be honest, I expect him to. But he's in a, I think, isn't he in like the Z4 or something? Pretty sure he is. So he's in something crazy. Prime Call's in 3rd place for Aero GT, followed by Chris for Pegasus and Jack for Aero. So a similar story for the Aero boys and for the Pegasus boys. Just one driver for each of them actually made it into Lobby A. So that's going to make things difficult for them in their fight with Caval. Like I said, Caval's 22 points behind Aero, but they've got all three of the drivers in Lobby A, and they're all in the top 9. Amazing. Hold on, I'm just getting a friend request that I need to accept. Okay, I think, yeah, that worked. Okay. Sorry about that. So we're just waiting for Ben to join and everyone to enter so that I can start setting the grid. Here comes Ben. Alright, let me just say enter to Mortal. So this is going to be interesting. We've got 2 tier 1 drivers in here. Jack, the most recent time, he raced in Monday League. He was in tier 1, actually set a fastest lap around Red Bull Ring as well. Ben has been in tier 1 for quite a while. Also was a tier 2 runner-up. Prime Call's currently in tier 2. As is Mortal, and both of them were on the podium last week. Okay, everyone's entered. Let me just set the grid. So we've got Jack. Where's Jack? Jack in P1. Chris, 2nd. Prime Call. So unfortunate for Aero, two of the three very close to actually qualifying, within a tenth and a half of actually making it through. Got Ben in 4th, we need to put Kaioken up in P5. Parky Varky, what a name, P6. P7 for Long Chicken, yeah, these are just taking the piss out of me, to be honest, these names, aren't they? Mortal 8th, Turbo Tony 9th, and Kanata 10th. So Kanata, Turbo Tony, Mortal, Long Chicken, Parky Varky, Kaioken, Ben, Prime Call, Chris, and Jack. Right, let me tell them that we are starting soon then. Let me just get Pyro's stream back up as well so we can see what's going on with that. Okay, so predictions for the race. It's going to be a tough one because we've got a Nismo, an M6, a Nismo, and a Z4. That Z4 is going to be very quick off the line, could potentially be leading into turn 1. So keep an eye out for that with Ben. Then we got Kaioken in 5th, another really fast starter in the Renault. So that could be up in the top 3 in the first couple of corners as well. So it really is important that the top 3 get good starts and a good reaction time off the line. And then apart from that, yeah, I think the Vipers will come into play a little bit later in the race. They can really fuel save well compared to some of these other cars. The Renault's got a really good tank on it as well. And it's going to be about tyre management. Tyre management's a big thing on the oval section, where you are really pushing the car but trying to do it in a way that doesn't make the tyres screech. So we will have to wait and see. I've given them enough time. Let's get this race started. Right, good luck everyone. "61 laps around Blue Moon is about to get started. It is a night race. It's going to be quite spectacular seeing these cars racing around here. We're just waiting for the lights to start flashing. Here we go. We've got a headwind. 5 lights on. And round 3 is up and running. Looks like Jack got a great start. Chris was a little bit slow off the line there. And he's immediately getting taken from Ben, who's in first place at the moment already. Let's ride on board with Ben as we head into turn 1. Looks like Chris has got past Jack, and Long Chicken, with an incredible start in the Renault, is in 4th place now. So let's see, everyone seems to have gotten through turn 1. Chris has gone for the lead already. He had the inside line. Looks like Ben was potentially pushed wide there. And Long Chicken has gone into the lead incredibly on this first lap. He's got a second penalty though for his troubles. Chris is falling back behind Jack. Jack was our pole sitter. He's trying to battle his way back through. He's got the inside line for the hairpin, and he's got that position on Chris. Now he's just got Long Chicken, who's got a second penalty to serve. That's going to be massive on this opening lap. So already a little bit of drama. Kanata all the way up into P5 from 10th on the grid as well. Great start for him. Yeah, so let's join with Long Chicken and see what he's just served his penalty now. Everyone's going around him. Looks like Mortal had a penalty to serve as well. He was losing position. Prime Call is up into 5th place now as a result, and he's catching Long Chicken pretty quickly. Mortal is really close behind as well. So Prime Call's going to go for it. And Mortal's going for it on the inside. 3 wide into turn 1. Long Chicken really late on the brakes and keeps the position well. Mortal and Prime Call make a little bit of contact through turn 1, and it is still side by side as we head into turn 2. Mortal really early on the brakes there. Prime Call maybe a little bit too late because Mortal just cuts through and takes P5 from Prime Call. So great start there for Mortal. I think it was Kanata who had the penalty instead of Mortal, and he's lost positions all the way back to 10th. Turbo Tony and Parky Varky are outside the points as well, but we haven't finished yet with Mortal and Prime Call. Mortal defending the inside in the hairpin, keeps the position once again. Now Prime Call is a little bit tight into this double left-hander. Need a wide entry, like I was saying in qualifying, in order to get that position. Now Ben trying to get some positions. Oh, and him and Prime Call hit the wall. Mortal all out of shape as well, so Prime Call's going to swoop past. I think Prime Call got away with that completely unscathed, whereas the other two had a bit of trouble there. What's going on at the front? Jack is currently in the lead. Chris is challenging him into turn 1, had a little look and had to back out of it. Jack with a, well actually he's got better, well slightly more worn tyres after 2 or 3 laps than Chris, so that might come into play a little bit later on. But Jack's got a bit of an opportunity here to create a really healthy gap over Chris. Both of them on the soft tyres. Let's just have a quick look. Elkin down in 3rd in the softs as well. Long Chicken in the softs. Is everyone on the softs to begin with? No, Ben is on the medium, so he might have dropped down to 8th. He's actually dropped behind Parky Barky as well. And yeah, he's had to take a bit of evasive action there after braking a little bit too late. And yeah, currently out of the points. This could be absolutely massive for Arix. I think Ben maybe underestimating the pace of these guys, starting on the mediums and just been falling back and really struggling to make some of these corners. Turbo Tony might fancy another position. He's also on the softs. See how he does. He's definitely got the slipstream. The Z4 is lovely in a straight line, but so is this. I'm not quite sure what car Turbo Tony's in. He looks like he's in the Nissan GTR, and it loved that slipstream, and it looks like he's got P8 from Ben. Ben is trying a little bit of a switchback. He's got a better exit than Turbo Tony. He's going to try and pull alongside and try and go the long way around. It's not going to work. And Turbo Tony's given him the space. That was good awareness there from Turbo, but as a result of not closing the door, it looks like he might be losing that position to Ben, and Ben gets P8. Now he's got to just try and chase down these people. Looks like Kaioken and Long Chicken were all out of shape going into the hairpin. Primecall gets an easy position there, and Long Chicken might start coming under pressure from Mortal, who's hit the apex a little bit better than Long Chicken there. Started to close the gap. Might fancy his spot in the top 5. Long Chicken a little bit out of shape going into that final corner, loses that position to Mortal much earlier than I expected. Now Parky Barky might be the next one to come through, closing in incredibly quickly in his M6. Here we go. And it looks fairly straightforward. That is not much that Renault can do on the straight. That was quite depressing to see. He even had some of Mortal's slipstream. And whoa, little bit of contact there between the two of them. That was pretty dodgy, I've got to say. But yeah, Long Chicken has the position back, and that's really helped Mortal, who was a little bit out of shape as well. Now Primecall and Kaioken are really close together. Primecall's just managed to overtake Kaioken in the last few corners. As you can see, Jack still only just ahead of Chris. And it looks like Kaioken's going to get that. Had the inside line for the hairpin. Very crucial that you do have that inside line. And yeah, he's back up into P3. We know he's got some good pace on him. He's done pretty well in his races pace-wise. I think he got his strategy all wrong last week, but the first week he really popped up on the podium positions, which was nice to see. The gap between the top 2 anyway is 1 second between Jack and Chris. So it's going pretty good for these two. They've built up a bit of a cushion between themselves and the pack behind, who are battling. So if these two can avoid having too much drama between themselves, they could really establish a lead that becomes unassailable over these next 53 laps, 54 laps that we've still got. Okay, and Chris is going purple at the moment. Jack's got the fastest lap with a 7 flat. And yeah, they're keeping pretty similar. Primecall is still tucked in very close behind Kaioken, so he's not letting him get away. Oh, Kaioken almost missing the apex, opened the door very slightly for Primecall. He couldn't take advantage of it though. And again, it looks like Primecall's just negotiating these corners a little bit better. Or maybe he just has more confidence on his brakes. Kaioken hits the wall. This should really create the opportunity for Primecall to get the move fully done now. Mortal's not too far behind either, so he's making really good progress through this pack. Kaioken goes defensive instantly. Ooh, a little bit of contact there. And Kaioken keeps the position. But now Mortal's right behind as well, so they have to be really careful, these two, because one mistake and you're getting swallowed by the driver behind, and that might have been the mistake there for Primecall. getting the double or triple right left-hander a little bit wrong. I think it's just a double actually. Got a bit of battling going on between Parky Varky and Long Chick. Looks like Parky has kept his position for now. Got quite a few battles between the Pegasus and the Racing United boys going on at the moment. Oh, he's going to hit the... Yeah, that's going to allow Parky to get away nicely. We've got Kanata in P8 just ahead of Turbo Tony and Ben, who is really, really struggling today. Wow, already 16 seconds off the back of the lead. And yeah, he's definitely been in the wars. He's not going to come in the pits just yet. But yeah, not enjoying those medium tyres at all. Not enjoying the Z4 at all. But Chris, I've absolutely missed an overtake for the lead. And Chris has got the lead on Jack somewhere. I'm assuming Jack had a poor exit on the final corner and Chris was able to eat him up. And now he's off track again. Oh, he manages to avoid the spin. But that's going to allow Chris to get over a second ahead, surely. And Kaoken's going to start closing the gap as well. So this is the period where Jack's made a little bit of a mistake, lost the lead of the race. He needs to regain his composure now and just focus on making these corners. And I think the rest of the race could come to him. But Chris might be on for his very first win in ALR here, which would be fantastic for him and for Pegasus. Damage limitation, obviously, for not getting into Lobby A as well. So very solid racing so far from Chris. This is definitely the form of the season. We've got Primecall and Mortal actually. Primecall getting swallowed by Mortal on the straight, but he's much later on the brakes and keeps that position, at least for now. Mortal's got a bit of a run out of turn 1. And he's got the crucial inside line here. He wasn't brave enough on the brakes. Primecall gives him the space to try and get alongside again, but it's not going to happen yet. Now, can he get a cut back through this corner? He does have a run. Looks like Kaoken made a bit of a mistake out of one of those corners as well. Was a little bit on the other side of the track. Actually, that was Jack. Kaoken's caught all the way up to the back of Jack after Mortal completes a great overtake. He's still not over. He's going to have to go really wide on the entry, and that just invites Primecall to take the position back. If Mortal was a bit braver, he could have shut the door, but it's not over yet. He's got the inside line again, and this should be it surely now. If Mortal can stay out of the wall, which he does, Primecall gets a great exit. These two losing a lot of time though. They could be in with a shout in the top 2. Kaoken meanwhile has overtaken Jack. Jack is a little bit all over the place, lapping in the 8s and 9s for the last 3 laps in a row now. He's allowed Kaoken to overtake him. He's now 3.5 seconds off of Chris. He's burning through his tyres as well compared to some of the other guys. Yeah, let's stick with Jack though. He's stuck to the back of Kaoken. Maybe he's it just took getting overtaken there, and now he can start following Kaoken a little bit until he gets his confidence back. Kaoken really deep into that corner, completely missed the apex altogether. Jack loses a bit of traction on exit. Both of them avoid the wall crucially. Now this could be an opportunity for Jack. We know the Renault's not good right about now. He's gone into his 7th gear, has the Renault. Decent. Jack down into the 7s again on that previous lap, which is not bad considering how worn his front right is right now. But let's have a look at what's going on a bit further back. Mortal still ahead of Primecall. The gap is half a second. Down in P6, Parky Varky is a little bit on his own at the moment. Long Chicken settled in just behind him by 1.6. Then we got 4.8 down to Kanata. So there is a big gap between the point scorers and the non-point scorers here. Turbo Tony and looks like Ben has just retaken Turbo Tony to take P9. He's got a long road back, but now the crossover point should be that the medium tyres are a lot more comfortable. He needs to be lapping in the 7s though, to be honest. He's been lapping in the 8s and 9s all race long. I think 7s are definitely possible for mediums and the Z4. A little bit further up, Primecall has lost another 0.6 of a second on Mortal on this lap. And now that is the gap. He's pretty far away in the distance now. Mortal's actually catching up to Jack pretty nicely, so we might see Mortal in the podium positions fairly soon. Very smooth through this left-hander, and that is what's protecting his tyres. You can see he was not pushing his car too much, and that's what the Corvette affords you, because it loves fuel saving and it loves the low revs compared to some of these other cars. When you're in the low revs, you're not putting as much stress on your tyres, so it has a double effect really. And if you look at his fuel, where is that fuel gauge? He's still got over 20% left, I'd say. Jack is a bit less, Kaoken's less, and Chris is a lot less because he's in the BMW, but he's got a 3.4 second lead over Kaoken at the moment. Still lapping in the 7s. This lap for Kaoken is going to be in the 7s as well. Jack in the low 8s, Mortal in the 7s. So Jack falling a little bit off the back of Kaoken, and Mortal might have a chance in the next lap or two to nick P3. But Jack is racing a lot better. Again, he's if he keeps being consistent, it might be a bit difficult for him. Actually lapping a bit more consistently than Kaoken, who is pretty close to him now. They're all hitting the hairpin a lot better than they were at the start of the race as well, that's for sure. Mortal's had a mistake somewhere. He's dropped 2 seconds off the back of Jack, so that's going to hamper him. He's actually under a lot of pressure from Primecall again because of it. He doesn't have any damage. Again, they both missed the wall. This might be difficult for Primecall. He is very close to Mortal, but Mortal's got that Dodge engine to help him out. Like I said, they don't want to be battling each other, but Primecall doesn't want Mortal catching his teammate Jack as well. There we go, nothing happening at the moment, just as expected, but Jack, it was all over the back of Kaoken heading into turn 1. I think he tried to scare Kaoken out of the way, it didn't work. He's losing a lot of time behind Kaoken, you can tell. Kaoken is now almost 4 seconds off the back of Chris. I think there's a lot at stake in this race. I think it's still wide open between the top 5 drivers. Potentially the top 6, because Parky Barky's caught up to the back of Primecall now. So these guys are not able to really get away from each other. Oh, yeah, but that's not going to help. Oh. That was unfortunate. Well, Primecall's got not much of a run on Mortal, but Jack definitely has a run on Kaoken. So this is a Nissan power versus Renault power, as we see the airplane go overhead as well. Jack might potentially need to go into the pits before his fuel tank gets to 0 to change those tyres. We'll have to see how that develops. Kaoken much better through the double left-hander. And has a bit of breathing space. Gap is 3.8 between him and Chris. So Chris, he might only have maybe another 2 laps in his tank. So he'll be the first one to come into the pits. And will he come out in traffic? I'm going to say no. It's quite a long pit lane, and everyone still looks fairly close together. Yep, he's not coming in yet. Let's see what's going on at the back. So we've got Turbo Tony in last place. He's lapping in the 9s. Unfortunate. Ben is lapping in the 7s now for the first time. He's going to be in the 8s this time, potentially in the 9s though. He's not having as good of a lap. He's also nearly completely out of fuel as well. Let's see if he comes into the pits. It's not going to be this lap. We got Kanata actually catching up to Long Chicken pretty well here. He's got better tyres. That might be having something to do with it. He's lapping in the 9s. Long Chicken did 1 lap in the 13s, but he's usually in the 8s. So he's doing better overall, but he's making mistakes now. Let's see how he navigates these couple of corners. Another Renault-powered car. Yeah. Nah. Kanata should be able to catch him if he's driving like that. Let's see what's happening a little bit further up. We've got Primecall and Mortal battling. Primecall might finally get this position off Mortal. He lost it and has struggled to get it back. And it's not over yet. It looked like he had it, but Mortal got a really strong exit. Great acceleration, and he's absolutely chucked it into that final corner and gets a better exit. He's just going to drive away from Primecall now. Is Parky Varky going to be able to catch up to Primecall? He's got the overspeed massively here, but instead he's going to go for the undercut on Primecall and Mortal and be the very first person to come to the pits. He's only got 1% of his fuel in that M6, so he's really been revving it out as much as possible, compared to 8% for Long Chicken, who's followed him in. That's the Renault for you. And then we've got Ben in the pits as well. So at the front, Chris has lost a couple of tenths on Kaioken. Kaioken's still just ahead of Jack. And yeah, it's looking pretty grim for Jack's tyres. A little bit better for Kaioken, and Kaioken's and Chris's are fairly similar as well. But it all depends on if you're going to be overheating your tyres or not at this stage of the race. Because if you can keep them at a good temperature and avoid the sliding, they're going to give you a lot more lap time. Gap over 4 seconds now. I think Chris is still feeling pretty comfortable, but he's absolutely going to have to come into the pits now. Here he comes. Completely empty. Kaioken can carry on. If I was him, I would carry on. Jack's carrying on as well. So interesting strategy for these guys. Mortal also carrying on. He's dropped quite a few. He's 3.8 back on Jack now. So he's been in the wars, probably on lap 18. Well, he's been fighting with Primecall. Absolutely gets the entry into turn 1 wrong, and that's allowing Primecall to close the gap once again. So now Chris is putting in some fuel. Let's see, he's only put in half a tank, and it looks like he's back out on the softs. He's completely on his own. This has worked out perfectly for Chris. Kanata on 0, wow, okay. And Turbo Tony hasn't come into his stop yet. So we've got Parky Varky, who's gonna retake them, and he is currently 15 seconds off the back of Chris. This is working very, very well for Chris, to be honest. The first of the front runners to come in, and he's got absolutely no traffic at all. Kanata still ahead of Ben. Ben's on the softs now, so he's gonna be, you would expect, on a lot more form than he was previously. And start carving his way into the points. Jack is in the pits. Primecall is also in the pits, so Aero GTR's synchronized. Looks like Primecall was very, very slightly better on his fuel. He saved 2% extra. So here comes Chris. He's going to retake the lead of the race, no doubt. There we go. Yeah, and Jack's still putting in fuel. Parky Varky should be a little bit too far back. And here comes Ben on Kanata. Let's see what happens here. These are both cars with pretty good straight line speed. Wow, fastest lap of the race for Ben in the 6s. That's what he needs to keep doing, but he needs to get past Kanata first. And Kanata already going defensive into the next corner. And that was a bit too eager for Ben, and it backfired, but he actually took that next corner absolutely phenomenally, and he's already alongside Kanata again. And that's a pretty tidy overtake. I thought it wasn't going to happen for another few a lap at least with that mistake, but yeah, recovered incredibly well, wrestling with that car, but actually got a decent result out of it. Mortal on 0% there into the pits, 4.5 back on Kaioken. So let's see where they come out in relation to Jack. Jack was battling with Kaioken. Kaioken looks like he's just come out of the pits there. Jack might have a better run on the on the exit of turn 1. Looks like Koken's just done enough to keep the position. Mortal out in third ahead of Prime Call as well. Prime Call quite a long way back because he put in more fuel. So let's just have a fuel check. Koken put in less fuel to keep that position as well. Jack's on the mediums now. Looks like he's the only one, and Prime Call's also gone on the medium, so identical strategies. We might see Prime Call start to lose a bit of time. Parky Varky also on the mediums, and Ben at 2.3 seconds back is on the soft, so he needs to be in this stint catching and overtaking Parky Varky and Prime Call fairly quickly. We got Kanata not too far behind him though still, and the Racing United boys Long Chicken and Turbo Tony struggling in the last 2 positions as it stands. Chris still out, and he's, I tell a lie, sorry, everyone's done their pit stops now. So as it stands, Chris has extended his lead through that pit sequence. He was about 4 seconds up, and now he's almost 7. Kyoken looking pretty solid in P2. Yeah, that was fine. I thought he went a little bit, but it was just going up that curb there. Chris put in less fuel than Kyoken, so he'll be coming in to make his stop again, maybe doing a slightly longer medium stint. So that could be something to watch out for. Kyoken with less fuel than Jack. Jack on the mediums. Might be getting caught by Mortal fairly soon. Then we got Prime Call, Parky Barky, and we got Ben and Kanata. Kanata's flashing his lights every corner. I don't know if that's gonna work, but hey, respect it. I respect it. It is the battle for the final point. Ben, of course, get a crucial bonus point as well. Remember, Aric's P2 in the standings, 40 points behind Project Platypus. Ooh, that's not what you want. But he'd already created quite a big gap in the middle sector that he is not under any pressure from Kanata. Come on, guys, give me some action. Right, so Kyoken got a 2.3 second gap on Jack. Jack's already lost a full second on Mortal in the last lap alone. The difference between the softs and the mediums. Mortal looking really strong in this stage of the race, just like Ben is. He's got a bit of time to go before he catches. Looks like Ben is closer to Parky Varky, but Parky Varky doing enough at the moment with Ben's mistakes to stay comfortably ahead. Kanata's going to be fairly close to the back of Ben again soon. I feel like I'm about to have a seizure. And again, a really good hairpin there from Kanata. The gap is under half a second now. Here we go. Oh, loses a bit of traction, otherwise he'd be all over the back of him. Looks like Ben hit the wall. Right, let's see. Is Kanata going to be able to catch up? The Z4 is really good in a straight line. The Dodge is really good in a straight line. The Dodge has had to go around the outside. It's not going to work, and Ben's going to keep that position. This is really good news for everyone ahead, because they've got a bit of breathing space with these guys fighting each other on the soft tyres. If they were working together, they'd have probably caught up to Parky Varky by now, but they aren't, which is great news for them. Looks like Mortal still has 2.5 seconds to catch up to Jack. Jack's doing pretty good on those mediums, keeping the gap and managing it. This is going to come back to Jack later in the race, because Kyoken and Chris both still have to put on medium tyres. Not much happening there. What about Kanata? Is he going to get a good exit here? They're both definitely catching up to Parky Varky. Parky Varky, let's see what his lap time is going to be. I have a feeling it's going to be a bit of a rough one. Pegasus is a third driver. 1.5 down on his best. 8.8 on those mediums compared to an 8.3 for Ben. So that Ben should easily be in the 7s still. He set a 9 and an 8.3. And that is why Kanata is feeling a bit impatient behind him. So So yeah, he had the pace on the fresh. Maybe it's just when his tyres are starting to go off a little bit, struggling. Maybe he's getting distracted by the flashing, but I highly doubt it. Here we go. That was a great exit once again from Ben. He's really got that corner nailed. He's got a run on Parky Varky. Is he going to send it? Not this time. But Parky Varky gets the corner completely wrong. It might have been scared wide, and that is an easy position for Ben. And he has a bit of breathing space between him and Kanata to build up a lead before Kanata can try. Oh no, he's lost it straight away. He's lost it straight away. Now Parky Varky's alongside Ben in the final corner. He's going to have to give him space. They do give each other space. Ben gets the better traction out the final corner, and now Kanata is going to try and duck on the inside and get that position on Parky. Parky's got the slipstream of Ben, but he lost a bit of traction there as well as he went a little bit wide too early. Now he's going to try and get his own back into turn one. Everyone's concertinaed into each other, and Parky has to duck out of the apex, but he gets the switch back, and he's going to be alongside Kanata. Ben hits the wall as well, which brings him back into it. They manage to all avoid each other. Ben P6, Parky Varky in 7th. He loses traction and loses P7 to Kanata. Wow, it's all changing incredibly quickly in this little battle. And finally, it looks like Kanata's got that position, but he needs to keep his composure, hit his apexes. It's like Parky nearly collected him. Parky outside of the points now in P8. So this is not what Pegasus need. They're currently P5 in the standings. They need all the drivers scoring points here, and it's not going to work like that. He's going to lose another couple of seconds to Kanata as a result. Let's go a little bit further up. What is going on? Primecole's dropped 7.5 behind Mortal on his medium run. Mortal has closed the gap to Jack to 1.8 seconds. Yeah, and he's lapping as quick as he has done as well. So Mortal on form at the moment, catching up to Jack. He needs to be cutting maybe a 10th or 2 out every single corner, and he's not quite doing that. Ooh, saves it though. They're both lapping quicker than Chris, that's for sure, because Jack was 12 seconds back on Chris a couple of laps ago, and now he's under 10. Jack in the wall. This is going to open the door for Mortal. Under a second now. Mortal's going to get into the slipstream under 8/10 now. This is a big closing speed. Turn 1 might just come a little bit too quickly for Mortal, but the fight is now going to be on between these two. Wow, Mortal backs out of the acceleration really early there before the turn in. Maybe a bit of fuel saving going on. Wow, look at the traction difference between the two of them. And Mortal's going to have to be careful not to bump Jack out on one of these corners, because it looks like Jack's struggling to make the corners a little bit more. Now is Mortal going to chuck it into the hairpin? Not this time. Really guides his car into the corner. Jack a little bit deep actually, but not enough to have his position come under threat. Again, really tight there from Mortal. Maybe a little bit too tight. But it should be over here, surely. Yeah, Jack loses a bit of traction, keeps his speed fairly decently. Mortal right in his slipstream. What is Jack going to do? Jack's placed it in the middle of the track, so Mortal's got a decision to make. He's decided to go round the outside, the long way round. Now let's see, Jack has the inside for the corner. Mortal is pretty far ahead heading into it. Jack's going to have to be brave on the brakes, and Mortal really late onto his entry into the corner. He's going to try and pull alongside Jack heading into turn 2. That's an absolutely beautiful overtake if he manages to hold it. He's got it, and he's got ahead fully, and Jack's going to have to tuck up behind him now. That was some really good defending and some good racecraft there from the pair of them. It's not over yet. Mortal's already looking like he's going defensive for the next corner. Both hit the apex pretty nicely. And they're losing time to Chris as a result of this fighting. Not over yet for Jack. He's 13 seconds back, but he is going to be on better tyres than these guys in the next phase of the race. But for now. I think he's going to have to try and minimise that damage. He's dropped to 13 seconds back on Chris with all that fighting. He's got to try and get back to around about 10 where he was, which I think is going to be possible because the crossover point's going to come fairly soon. Chris just set an 8-minute flat, which isn't great pace. It's 2:10 slower than Kyokan, who's really settled into P2 now. He's got a 5.7 gap to Mortal, who's got a job on him to chase him down, and then Jack, has been struggling with Mortal behind him, but now he's got some a chance to just put in the laps, treat it like a bit of a time trial mode, which is exactly what Mortal will be doing, lapping in the 7s and 8s on the mediums, and then Ben in the 8s as well on his soft tyres. They are starting to go off a little bit. Kanata, he hasn't really dropped Kanata that much. Kanata's completely dropped Turbo Tony, who is 5.7. Actually, Parky is all the way in last place, 50 seconds off the back, so that looks like no points for Pegasus. He didn't come into the pits, so that's not the reason why he's so far back. He set a 1 minute 21, a 1 minute 10 and a 1 minute 14, 3 laps in a row, so that's not great. So back to the front. Chris is putting in a performance very similar to what Pumpkin Patch did in Brands Hatch for Pegasus. Failed to get to lobby A, but really showing that he would have had the pace to compete. Dominating performance for him. Kyokan is currently on for his second P2 in ALR, but Mortal is closing the gap pretty quickly, lapping over a second quicker per lap at the moment, now that he's got past Jack. So this is a battle that we'll likely see. We're pretty much halfway through the race now, 30 laps and a half completed. So a long way to go, still a lot of mistakes can be made. They usually happen. Could easily see drivers run out of fuel completely as well. Looks like someone's left lobby A, which is unfortunate. 7.9 for Mortal, still lapping very quickly compared to an 8.2. Better lap for Kyokan, but still 0.3 off of what Mortal's doing. Chris only lapping in the 8.2s. So Mortal definitely the quickest man on track. Ben's coming to the pits. So we'll be getting the mother of all undercuts done to keep ahead of Kanata. Come on, Jack. Jack with a 5-second lead over Prime Call currently, his teammate. So at least the two Aero boys are in the top 5. I think the race could come back to both of them. You could potentially see both of them on the podium. I think Jack has a really good shot at the podium, with other drivers having to go on the mediums towards the end of the race. Definitely not over. Kanata in P6 all on his own. He's going to have to come into the pitch soon, surely. Let's have a look and see what the situation is with everyone and their fuel. Chris looking fairly comfortable. He's got another few laps in him for sure. Kyokan can go a very, very long time, so he's going to hit quite a few laps after Chris, I'd imagine. Mortal can go an incredibly long time as well. He's still got a quarter of a tank. That's pretty impressive. Jack can go longer than all of them. It's just a question of if he wants to or needs to. Kanata's come into the pits now. So is he going to do an extra stop, or is he going to do an incredibly long medium stint? That's going to be the question. Let's ride on board with Ben, who's on his outlap. He did come out in 10th place, behind Parky Barky as well. Remember, they were all battling each other. Parky came in first, got a really nice undercut. Parky put in a lot less fuel. Oh no, he didn't pit. That was his mistake, I forgot about that. Ben's going to be comfortably in front of Kanata, who is filling up massively. He's definitely going to go to the end. I'm assuming this is mediums. I think a lot of other drivers are potentially doing 2 more stops. Kanata definitely trying something different. So I respect that. I think he should still score points there. Meanwhile, Long Chicken has been promoted into the points, as has Turbo Tony. So we've got 3 Project Racing United drivers in the points at the moment. We'll have to see how the strategies play out with that. Primecall losing half a second to Jack over the last few laps. Maybe the mediums are starting to come into Jack because he's closing the gap on Mortal once again, and he's under 13 seconds back on Chris as well. So yeah, fairly solid there. Mortal struggling to close the gap on Kyokan. It's still over 4 seconds. Lovely smooth exit there, but it was a slow entry, which is why he's dropped another 0.3 back. Chris's lead on Kyokan's actually fallen. What's this lap going to be? It's in the 9s for the first time, so he's lapping in the 8s and the 9s. This lap for Kyokan is going to be a 7.9. That's really quick for the state of those tyres. And that's why he's closing the gap to Chris. It's not over yet in the battle for P1. Mortal lapping in the low 8s, so again quicker than Chris. Jack in the 7s on his mediums, so he's feeling really comfortable. That's 2 laps in the 7s in a row. Prime Call in the 8s. Turbo Tony into the pits. Was lapping in the 8s before he came in. Long Chicken is he absolutely doesn't need to come into the pits. He's doing a very long medium stint by the looks of things. Parky has Ben all over the back of him. Another overtake for Ben on Parky Varky for position. And he's going to retake P7 into turn 1. Parky really wide on entry. Oh, nearly turned in a little bit too much there, but Ben's car was there, had to back out of it, and Ben takes that position fairly easily. We've got Kanata 11 seconds back because he put in so much extra fuel. So that gives you a little bit of idea how putting in more fuel impacts your race. We do have our 0.6 speed, which is slightly quicker than on Mondays, which is 0.5. I don't know why. I don't know what difference it makes, but that's what we decided. So Ben has 6 seconds to catch Long Chicken, but that's not really who his battle is with. Let's see what happens with Chris. Chris has come in. He's going to fill in similarly to Kanata. He's filled in quite a long time. I expected him to be on the mediums. He's got a 3-second penalty, which is absolutely massive. Oh man, and he's going to be on the mediums for an incredibly long time. So this is a great opportunity for Kyokan. He can keep going out for more laps, minimize his stint on the mediums because his Renault tyres are holding out so well. He's got 3.4 on Mortal, so Mortal is feeling a lot more comfortable at this stage. They both have absolutely no reason to go into the pits just yet. Neither does Jack, who's really closing the gap onto Mortal. So I think it's just blown wide open, this race. Prime Call has a big gap, and then here we have Chris approaching the final corner. Let's see what this does to the gap with Prime Call. The gap was 16.5 seconds, and we'll have to wait all the way into turn 1 to see what this 3.5 second penalty, I think it was in the end. So we're already up into 19. Remember, it was 16.5 seconds when he hit the penalty line. Losing time still because he's still trying to get up to speed, which he won't actually get up to speed before turn 1. Almost 4 seconds he loses to Prime Call there, and the gap between him and Kyokan was 4.5. So Kyokan could come out of the pits ahead of Chris. Kyokan's still on the softs. They are very worn, but they are a softer compound than what Chris is on at the moment. Kyokan lapping in the low 8s. He's still got 3.3 ahead of Mortal as well, so he's not under any real kind of pressure at the moment. Jack not really cutting into Mortal's time too much this lap as well. Yeah, this race really could go anywhere. Everyone's on slightly different strategies with when they're coming into the pits, and it's going to bring them all together towards the end of the race. Chris has an opportunity to get a massive undercut done if he avoids the wall, which he doesn't. This is the first time he's been on mediums tonight. He did qualifying in the first 2 stints on softs. It is a bit of an adjustment. He's now 21 seconds off the back of Prime Call, 33 off the lead. That lap was a 9.4. He needs to find about 1.5 seconds at least to be competing with Kyokan, who's lapping in the 8.4s. So that's a full second quicker at the moment, Kaioken is probably the favourite to come out in the lead. I think he's still got one more lap in him. Let's wait and see. So what is this lap going to be? It's going to be in the low 8s again, an 8.5 for Kaioken, a really strong lap again, and a good strong lap for Mortal in 8 minute flat. 8 minute point 4 for Jack. Prime Call a mid 8 as well. So what is Chris up to on this lap? Has he put the heat in his tyres? Is he feeling a bit more confident? He took that final corner a lot better, that's for sure. Like I said, it needs to be in the 8s or 7s. Taking the quickest route, which does shred your tyres a little bit. Not the best idea to do in a race. 8.4, so he has found a bit of time. And what's Ben up to? He's nearly caught up to the back of Long Chicken now. Long Chicken still is not going to come into the pits anytime soon. Looks like Ben's going to come in another time as well. It's a bit of a risky strategy here for Ben. Should come out behind Kanata. Ooh, hits the wall as well. That brings Long Chicken back over a second ahead of him. Ben's got damage as well, quite a bit of damage. Hello, Jill. This is quite a good race. I have no idea who's going to win, to be honest. Chris is our leader, but he came in. He had quite a big lead and then got 3.5 second penalty in the pit lane. So Kaioken might actually come out ahead of him. Mortal trying to get an undercut on Kaioken now. Let's see where he comes out in relation to Chris, because Chris had quite a big lead over Mortal. I think it was about 13 seconds at the pit stop. It doesn't look like it's going to be anywhere near that at the moment. Mortal's already out of the pits. There he is. Chris has actually lost the position to Mortal, which means he's probably a net P4 at the moment. That's a real good pit lane for Mortal, but actually he's about to get overtaken by Chris straight away. And Chris goes too deep, and Mortal takes it back. Wow. That was a bit desperate, I think, from Chris there. But he nearly pulled it off massively. He should have, actually. He was the favourite going into that, but Mortal was a bit wiser. And now is Mortal going to be able to get an undercut on Kaioken? They're both definitely fueled to the end. Mortal and Chris, both on the mediums. Kaioken's going to put on the mediums as well in the pit lane. Jack's carrying on. He's our new race leader. So this is looking really good for Mortal and for V2. Kaioken in the pits now, putting in the fuel. He is in the Renault, so he shouldn't have to put in that much. 60% he's put in, and he's already on his way out. That should be enough. You can see him going into turn 1 already. Let's see how close Mortal is on the exit of turn 1. He's already 1.5 ahead of Chris. So Kaioken is all of a sudden the favourite to win this race. And yeah, he's comfortably ahead. He's on the mediums. Now it's just going to be who can adjust to these medium tyres the quickest. Mortal is actually purple through sector 1 on his mediums, and maybe got a little bit excited when he saw that purple because he went a little bit wide there. So now it's the question is, what is Aero GT going to do? Jack probably has to come in a little bit before, maybe a lap before Prime Call. Both of them have very similar tyre wear. Both of them are GTRs. They are 1-2 at the moment, but they have to make another pit stop. But they will be, crucially, on soft tyres for the end of the race. And they could easily catch Kaioken, Mortal and Chris on the mediums. So it's really difficult to predict what's going to happen here. Jack lapping in the low 8 still. That's exactly what he needs to be doing. Prime Call, what's this lap going to be? This is an out lap anyway, it doesn't matter. Mortal's first lap on the mediums is an 8.3, so still pretty solid. An 8.2 for Chris is solid as well. And then we've got Ben in 6th place on his softs once again. He's lapping in the low 8s as well. Chicken in the 9s. What's Kanata doing? Kanata's just about to lose a position to Turbo Tony, it looks like. I don't really know what's going on between these two. He must have killed Turbo because he completely lifted off and gave that position back. These two fueled to the end of the race now. So, is Jack coming in this time? No, he's going to go one more. I think he's got one more lap in him. Prime probably has 2 more if he wants them. I'd say take the 2. Minimise your time on the softs so that they're even fresher and you've got even more grip if you catch up to people. So this is your net race leader as it stands. He's got a 2.5 second lead over Mortal. Mortal's going to be eating into that on this straight in the dodge. He's already gained 3 tenths, make that 4 tenths. Yeah, that's half a second difference for Mortal versus Kyokan on that straight alone. That is mental. But then the Renault pulls on the dodge in the infield section and balance is restored. Parky in the pits again. So he's pitting in extra time, just like Ben is going to be pitting again before the end of the race for more soft tyres. So really, yeah, really different strategies. I think some people have pitted an extra time too long. Here comes Jack, so let's ride on board with Kyokan. He's got a 2-second gap on Mortal. Jack is in the pits now. Let's see where Jack comes out in relation to these two fighting. There's Mortal just coming around the last bend as well, with Chris not too far behind him. Jack, remember, can put on the softs for this last stint if he chooses to. It'll be a long stint, to be honest. Doesn't have to put in as much fuel, but it looks like Kyokan's going to have that position. Mortal is going to have that position as well. Here comes Chris. Jack might just slot in front of Chris. Chris is going to have to go wide, the long way around, and he completely outbrakes himself with the presence of Jack there, who keeps that position. Jack is on the softs in P4, and he can start hunting down the victory because he's only 3 seconds away from net P1. So this is a fantastic opportunity for Jack. Mortal really sliding around that corner there, gonna fall below a second ahead of Jack at the moment. So Jack could make quick work of Mortal, potentially. He needs to stop sliding the car like that. Prime call in the pits now as well. I'm expecting him to come out behind Chris and slot back into P5. Potentially might be behind Ben, who needs to make an extra pit stop out of position. So the gap between Mortal and Jack now, 0.6 of a second. Hello, Pumpkin Patch. And he's completely lost Chris. Chris 2.5 back now. He was completely in control, and he should really still be leading this race, but got that penalty in the pit lane, which is really unfortunate. And he might not even be on the podium. Prime Call has come out comfortably ahead of Ben, actually. So he's just in no man's land at P5. I'm pretty sure he was in no man's land at P5 last week as well. So he's scoring some solid points there. 3 points for Team Aero GT. And here comes Jack. He's got the pace absolutely on Mortal. He's going to try and do it around the outside of the hairpin. I don't think I've ever seen an overtake there before, and he's actually kept his traction, got the inside for the next corner. Really needs to stick it, and he's going to. Mortal's going to try the switchback here. Jack is going to not give him the room. Well, actually, just move back onto the racing line. And that is solid for Jack. Jack in P2 now on his very fresh softs. He's going to try and hunt down Kyokan in first place, who's also on mediums. 1.2 seconds is the gap between them. Let's see if Mortal can get the position back. He's got the dodge. Jack. Bump draft. Okay, so Mortal doesn't want to fall too far back from Kyokan, and he wants to keep all eyes on Jack now. Half a second. He's gone purple in Sector 1 as well, probably because of that bump draft, but gets that corner completely wrong. Lap in a row on Mortal. A little bit of breathing space for Kyokan. And Jack keeps the position. The top three separated by just over a second at the moment. And a much better exit there from Jack. He's going to have a run on Kyokan in the Renault now. Here we go. Lapping in, and is he going to manage to have the grip on the exit to get alongside? He is, you know. Oh, he's going to be able to keep it. Really cuts the corner to make sure he makes it. Kyokan's car's still there, needs to be given the space, and keeps P1 for now. Jack's nearly lost it. And here comes Mortal as well, around the outside. Jack's got the inside line for this corner now. He doesn't have the pace, but he's got the tyres under the brakes. He's going to keep P2 from Mortal. Really tight racing in the top 3 now. Oh, and he... Oh, wow. I don't know how he stops this car from spinning every single time that he applies the throttle. Both of them hit the wall a little bit. And yeah, it's as you were, because Mortal's still half a second back. He's got the speed on both of them at the moment, but Jack might benefit from the slipstream now and finally have a go at Kaioken properly for P1. Kaioken's going defensive. And he rejoins the racing line, and Jack is thinking about chucking it in. He just can't do it. Kaioken cuts him off. Ben comes in for his final stop. He's going to be really quick in these last laps of the race. And Kaioken still keeps his position. He's defending amazingly at the moment. Jack too wide. That's not good. Mortal losing a bit of pace to both of them, but Jack's going to have slightly dirty tyres here, which is why he goes wide. And yeah, he manages not to slide it. I don't know how he. It's like watching someone do a rally around here. But he's lost a lot of time. He's lost 2 seconds in that sector alone. Some really sloppy corners there. Needs to. Well, his tyres might be just about clean now, but they might be a little bit warmer than they were a few corners ago. Prime Call now in 4th, ahead of Chris. Something's happened with Chris. He's going incredibly slow. He's got damage on his car as well. Looks like he's lost it in the final corner. He loses P4 to Chris, and now he's all the way down in P5 on his own. Oh, it's just going from bad to worse for Chris. It was really, really comfortable for him. And now he's got a 10-second gap to Long Chicken, so he's still looking fairly comfortable for him. Then we got Turbo in the final points position with Kanata still outside the points, Ben MK out the points, Parky Valky out the points. So it looks like we're going to have 3 Project Racing United drivers in the points, apart from Long Chicken has actually just come into the pits for his final stop. That should promote Kanata into the points. But at the front, let's see what's going on, because we've got a train of 4 cars. Prime Call's caught up to this pack really, really quickly because they've been a little bit out of shape. Kaioken started to form a train behind him. And any one of these 4 could win. We've still got quite a way to go in this race. The advantage is really with the soft-tired Aero GT cars of P2 and P4 here. But at the moment, no one's really closing the gap. Jack started to close the gap a little bit more on Kaioken again after his dodgy previous couple of laps. So he's in the 7.4 compared to an 8.2, much quicker than Kaioken at this stage. He just needs... Oh, Kaioken's completely lost it. Jack hasn't been able to take full advantage. He went a little bit wide as well. He's going to be able to pull alongside. He needs to be a bit braver into this next corner than he was previously. Really cuts that corner well, and it looks like he's finally got P1. And Jack is back on top. This is his race to lose. That was a long time in the making for Jack. He dropped outside the podium positions in that middle stint on his medium tyres. Now he's retaken P1, gets a little bit of a bump round the hairpin from Kaioken, who was a little bit late on his brakes, but not much drama there. Now we've got Mortal on his mediums. We'll be wanting to have a go at Kaioken as well, but unfortunately for him, Kaioken's going to have some good slipstream from Jack. The gap, yeah, Kaioken had a much better exit out of that corner. Now Prime Call's going to try and do the same. So Jack's managed to get past these 2. Prime Call now has to do the same thing. He came in a little bit later than Jack, so his tyres are a little bit fresher. Lapping in the 7s as well. 8.2 for Mortal, really close to the back of Kaioken, who gets turn 1 much better than Mortal. But Mortal brings it really nicely into the apex on the exit of the corner to get a good run out of it. Kaioken a little bit wide through these corners as well. Maybe feeling a little bit stressed at the moment, potentially. Top 4 still separated by 2.2 seconds. Jack is starting to get away from Kaioken a little bit, but Kaioken hasn't really come under pressure from Mortal, which is keeping Jack fairly close. Looks like Ben has just overtaken Kanata for the final points position today. So there we go. Kanata is dropped outside of the points now, along with Long Chicken and Parky Varky. Oh, something's happened to Jack. He had a penalty, it looks like, and he's lost P1 once again to Kyokan, and now it looks like he's going to lose P2 as well. He's going incredibly slow. It wasn't a penalty. He's hit the wall. He's got damage all over his car. Prime Call's going to come past as well by the looks of things. Looks like Jack doesn't want his teammate getting past him. So this is a nightmare for ALR. It looked fairly comfortable for Jack after he took P1. Now he's got all the hard work to do again, and also to try and not let his teammate pass him. So that's a couple of points there lost for Jack, potentially. 3 points, actually. This is incredibly close, I know, Cap. 51 laps and the top four still separated by 1.7 seconds. And the guys on the fast tyres are in P3 and 4. Jack trying to have another go at Mortal. Mortal must have thought that this was over, but he's been gifted a P2. He's less than a second away from being a P1, but he's got to defend for his life for a few laps at least from Jack until Jack's tyres start to go off and the crossover starts to appear. Jack a little bit sideways through the final corner, gives Mortal a little bit of extra speed, puts it over 0.4 of a second, and now Mortal's going to have Kyokan's slipstream. Remember, Renault versus Dodge, this is going to shrink incredibly quickly. Mortal has a great chance of nicking the win here. He lost the victory on Monday, to me, on the very final lap of the feature race, and he might be able to take the victory towards the end of this eSports race. So some really solid results in the past week, and good pace for Mortal. Another one who I think probably should have been in Lobby A today. Really close again in the braking zone. Everyone gives each other a little bit of space, picking different braking lines. Primecall and Jack have an interesting one, because Primecall seems to be the guy who is all over the back of Jack. Jack's not been able to have a go at Mortal at all just yet. They could, if they time it right, bump draft each other past Mortal. But again, that's an easier said than done thing. It looks like Jack had a really good exit compared to Primecall. He's really close to the back of Mortal now. 0.3 of a second is the gap. Mortal once again is quicker though, now that we're in, well, the high 5 and low 6 gears. Oh, Kyokan hits the wall on the entry into the corner, nearly allows Mortal to get past. And Jack all over the back of Mortal as well. I have a feeling that this might all end in tears. They're all incredibly close together. Primecall completely misses it. He's in the wall, and that is going to cost him a bunch of time, potentially take him out of the running. So now there are 3. But let's see if Primecall can. He's got enough time to catch. Kyokan going defensive into the hairpin. Mortal trying to go around the outside. Jack giving an incredibly wide entry to try and get a good exit. Couldn't really do anything with it. Loses traction as well. Mortal right up the back of Kyokan. This is insanely close, guys. One wrong move from Kyokan and he loses this position. Can he nail this final corner once again? Mortal takes more of the curb and seems to be closer to Kyokan than on previous laps. He's got a great chance of taking P1 here. Kyokan going defensive already. Yeah, Mortal has to tuck into his slipstream, get a bit of extra speed. Kyokan's not letting him have the inside line. He's trying to push him to the outside into turn 1. Mortal is almost fully ahead. Kyokan goes incredibly late into the corner, still makes the apex. That's a great bit of defending from Kyokan. Keeps P1 from Mortal now. Jack still just tucked up behind. Incredibly close racing. No contact at all, which you absolutely love to see. This is fantastic in Lobby B at the front. Now, it's all a question of can they nail this hairpin? Is he going to get good traction on the exit? No, once again. Primecall still 3.8 off the back of Jack as well. So both Aero boys, I think, should be on the podium in this race. They could have had a 1-2 quite easily, but both of them making mistakes on this crucial final stint on the soft tyres. Mortal is closer than he's ever been. Kyokan going defensive once again. Mortal staying wide. And Mortal's going to put his nose in front. Is Kyokan going to be late on the brakes once again? Mortal covers the inside line. He says, "You're not doing that again." And Kelkin is incredibly late on the brakes again. He has to leave a bit of space. There's some contact. And Jack makes a little bit of contact as well, but everyone seems to get out of it unscathed. Mortal tucks in behind Kaioken, thinks about the move. Kaioken going a little bit wide as a result of that, and a little bit out of shape for the next corner. Mortal has a great opportunity to pull alongside as we head into the hairpin. Kaioken looks like he's already wanting to go defensive into the hairpin. What's Jack going to do? And Mortal can't really turn his car into the apex because Kaioken was there. That's going to open the door for Jack a little bit. Oh, Mortal's gone for it. Mortal's gone for it. He's gone for it. Jack's going to try and follow through as well. Kaioken on the outside. Mortal is in P1 for now. As we head into the final corner, Jack really backs out of it. Kaioken really late on the brakes there. Everyone actually makes it through again somehow. And now we've got Mortal P1, Kaioken P2, Jack in P3. We've got another 6 laps left of this. Primecall's only 1.4 behind now because these guys have been battling so much. So he's going to rejoin this battle fairly soon. Looks like Ben's made his way up into 6th place as well, but we're going to stick with this. Kaioken tried something around the outside. Everyone's looking a little bit sloppy into turn 1. Kaioken's going to try and get on the inside of Mortal into the next corner, but he can't do it. Mortal gives him way too much room, to be honest, and there has been a bit of contact between them. Mortal loses 2 positions. He makes a bit of contact with Jack as well. Primecall's going to get past Jack. Primecall is going to cruise up to Mortal and get this position as well. After all that, there was a little bit of contact, which we thought was going to happen eventually with how close these guys were racing. Really unfortunate to see. Primecall, oh, a little bit of contact with Mortal as well. He's got the inside line for the next corner. And Mortal's still hanging in there. But Primecall again has the inside line for the next corner. Jack is still lingering in the background. Primecall feeling very brave there, and Mortal looks like gives him a little bit of a bump out of that corner, but gets a better exit anyway, and he's got the inside line around the oval, gets P2 back somehow, and there's more to the Primecall. Here comes Jack behind them, so Primecall definitely has a chance of getting him in the braking zone. He's still got enough life in those tyres to outbrake Mortal here. And Mortal gives him the space again. And here comes Jack, really wide actually. That's not the best from Jack. And this has just helped Kaioken out massively. He's now got a 2-second lead over Mortal with all this fighting that's been going on. Primecall still has a great chance here, but if he needs to get past Mortal in the next lap maximum if he wants to win this race. Here comes Jack as well, incredibly close behind. Incredibly twitchy car. You can tell the difference between like the pad and the wheel, because the pad is very twitchy, but actually doesn't lose time with all this twitching that you see. Oh, it hits the wall a little bit though. You know, I think we might be at the crossover point between the softs and the mediums, because it's starting to look a little bit more comfortable for Mortal here. An 8.8 for Jack. He's got the run on Primecall. He's not going to go for it, is he? Oh, he has gone for it. He's absolutely gone for it. Primecall leaves him the space. Jack hits the apex. Primecall hits the apex on the exit. Great overtake there for Jack on his teammate. And now Jack's going to try once again to close the gap to Mortal. Mortal's got a second gap on him, and he's still got 2 seconds to catch on Kaioken. Those 2 laps where he set a 110 and a 111. Well, Kaioken set a 110 on one of those, but he was in the 8s after that. So that's 3 seconds he gained out of all the battling. Mortal's slowly catching him. 2.1 is the gap at the moment, down to 2. Let's see, oh, down to 1.8, and then I bet we'll see another 0.4 get knocked off. 1.4 by turn 1, let's see. In the 7s for Mortal on the mediums. That's incredibly good pace. 1.5 by turn 1. This is definitely not over. Kaioken had a nice gap, but he's got to weather the storm. We've got 3 more laps and 1.7 seconds between the top 3. Looks like Jack's lost the position to Primecall as well. Looks like he got that position, well, got turn 1 wrong, I think, potentially. So Primecall back through on the podiums. This would be his first eSports podium if he manages it. It would also have been Jack's. Mortal has won a Lobby B race last season. This would be Kyoken's first win, Project Racing United's first win. He's got 1.3 seconds on Mortal now. And his tyres are a little bit better than Mortal's as well. But he's going wide every corner now. It's 0.6, 0.5. This could even happen before turn 1, but Mortal gets a little bit. He doesn't cut the corner as much as he meant to on that final one. He's still going quicker than Kyoken though. He might be close to alongside, but not able to make a move. We've only got 2 more laps. He's really running out of time to do it if he's going to win this race. This is exactly what V2 need. V2 and Racing United. Oh, looks like Kyoken lost it a little bit mid-corner. Allowed Mortal to pull alongside going into turn 2. These are the 2 bottom teams in the standings, and they're 1-2 at the moment. So much improved for both of them. Kyoken already thinking about going defensive. He's got 1.5 more laps, and Mortal's gone for it. He's had to back out. Primecall 1 second behind as well, is still in the hunt here. Kyoken going very deep, might have gifted this position to Mortal. Mortal's going to get alongside, the side-by-side heading into the final corner. What is going to happen here? Kyoken's going to turn in as if Mortal wasn't there, and he keeps the position because of it, but Mortal's got the inside line on the oval. He's going to pull ahead of Kyoken. Kyoken has to slot in right behind him, but look, here's Primecall and here is Jack just ahead of Primecall. Are they going to be bumping each other, or what's going on between these two? But Kyoken is going to go for it into turn 1 again. He's very late on the brakes going into turn 1, and he hits Mortal and he goes wide. That might be P1 gone, and it might be P2 gone, because Jack is right there as well. Jack has to slot in just behind. They're still side by side going into turn 2. This is the final lap of the race. Kyoken has the outside line, which becomes the inside line. He's kept it for now. Mortal has to slot into P2, try and get a bit of a switch back on Kyoken. We've got Jack here as well, and Primecall just behind as well. Kyoken didn't have the speed at all coming out of that corner, but he's got the inside line for the hairpin. Mortal is going to have to slot in behind Jack. Looks like he's going for it. Makes contact with Mortal. Oh, and that might be it. That might be it for Kyoken. That little bit of contact might have won it, but Kyoken incredibly deep once again is allowing Mortal to get alongside the 2 Aero boys right next to each other as well. But I want to see what is going to happen on this final corner. Mortal 0.2 of a second down. It's a very long run to the line. He's got the opportunity. He needs to stay in Kyoken's slipstream for as long as possible. He's got the speed. Kyoken is not going to make it easy for him. It's less than a 10th. As we head across the finish line, it is 0.063 of a second after 61 laps. Kyoken gets his very first win, and Project Racing United's first ever win in ALR. So big congrats to them. Mortal just couldn't do it at the end. Jack 3rd and Primecall 4th. All 4 of these could have potentially won the race, as could Chris, but he was in the wars a few times as well. Looks like Ben is going to come across the line and score 2 points for Arix. That is a big loss, really, for Team Arix tonight. We'll have to see how the other guys do in Lobby A. That is P6 for Ben, P7 for Turbo, scoring another point for Racing United. Then we've got Kanata not scoring for V2, unfortunate for him. And Long Chicken, P9 in the end for him. And Parky Varky, a long way back for Team Pegasus. This is a bit of a debut to forget for him. And also the bonus point for Ben, so he's got the bonus point for Team Arix. So that's 3 points he's contributing to them tonight. But yeah, huge congratulations to Kyoken. Looked like he could have won Lobby B a couple of weeks ago. Made a bit of a strategy error last week, finished in the lower region of the points, and has got himself a win. And yeah, some good, well, Mortal got V2's best result of the race as well. So let's just have a little look at the results here. There is page 1. There's page 2. We still got another couple of laps to go in Lobby A if you want to catch what's gonna happen there, and I'll start updating the standings. But thanks for watching, guys. That was a really exciting one once again in Lobby B. We just get exciting races non-stop here. Next week we are at I can't remember, but it's the last race before the Christmas break, so it'll be a good one. Join us then.